Hello and welcome back to our little 2012 Formula 1 season in AMS2 in virtual reality. I hope you had a nice Christmas if you celebrate and are ready for the last episode of this series in 2022. Today we're in for 27 laps at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. We're getting into the deep end of the season and Lewis Hamilton has quite a comfortable lead in the standings. He will not be able to mathematically decide the championship here, but a fourth win in a row with a poor result of his main rivals Vettel and Alonso, as whom we will be competing, might pretty much secure the championship for the McLaren driver unless something extraordinary happens. Of course, Vettel and Alonso will try their hardest to keep the championship open and close the gap to the top. Let's look at the starting grid to see how we will be going in today's race. And Lewis Hamilton really is on a roll right now. He has won the last 3 races and he starts on pole position for this one as well. Sebastian Vettel in second. Schumacher, who had a very strong start to the season with a win in Monaco but has failed to score points ever since, finally with a good starting position going into this race from P3. And then for the rest of the grid, it's Raikkonen, ourselves, Fernando, Alonso starting from P5. Then it is Webber, Grosjean, Kobayashi, Jensen Button, Nico Rosberg, Felipe Massa, Sergio Perez, Pastor Maldonado, Paul Di Resta, Nico Hülkenberg, Jean-Eric Vergne, Bruno Senna, Daniel Ricciardo, and then Petrov finally beating Kovalainen in qualifying once again. And here we are on the grid in P5. 5 red lights are on and away we go for the Italian Grand Prix 2012. And we get a good start. We already passed Kimi Räikkönen there, but the track gets really tight here going into the Rettifilo, which is always very, very critical. In the first lap, it looks fine. We made a little bit of contact with Sebastian Vettel. Schumacher had a great start. He's up into P2 and going towards the Variante della Roggia. Schumacher is trying to make it past Hamilton. Hamilton defending the inside line and Schumacher stays behind. A brilliant start now for the German. Maybe finally this season will come alive at the end for him as well. He hasn't taken any points. Oh, and no! We ran off the road in Lasmo 1. As I was just talking about Schumacher's misery, there starts another misery for Alonso. We lost 2 spots there. Mark Webber and Romain Grosjean now. Mark Webber and Kimi Räikkönen now ahead of us. Romain Grosjean is behind us in the second Lotus. As we are coming out of the Ascari chicane, we have to defend now from Grosjean, who is just behind us, going towards the Parabolica. We have the inside line and he backs out of it. Oh no, he doesn't. He tries around the outside, but that didn't work. He's now losing compared to us. But a good exit might give us the chance to take back the spots we have lost in Lasmo 1. There is how we are running right now as we are alongside Mark Webber and are now trying to make it past Räikkönen as well. We are very late on the brakes, blocking the tires, but we just make it past. Struggling to go through that first chicane, but we just made it and we are ahead of the 2 drivers there. As we are now going towards the Della Roggia chicane and there is car parts flying. I fear that these belong to Michael Schumacher and Vettel because they made contact there into the Variante della Roggia. And I fear that, Schumacher is missing part of his rear wing. So this will be him out of this race as well. It was hard to see there as we just passed him because the rear wings are so flat here in Monza. But the top part of his rear wing, the DRS flap, it is missing. This won't be fixable in a short time, so he's out of this race once more after running in P2 here. What a shame for him. And I believe Sebastian Vettel has some damage to the front of his car as well, so he might need to come in as well. Look how much he's losing compared to Hamilton, who is leading this race once more. And there it is, Vettel going into the pits, and this might be the championship over for Sebastian Vettel, realistically, unless he can come back from there. Now we were able to catch up to Lewis Hamilton, for whom it is just going amazingly here. He is leading this race. He is looking at the 4th win in a row. And Sebastian Vettel now completely out of the points. His pit stop was very long, so he is still in this race, but he is way back. And I don't believe he will be able to come back and attack his 2 rivals here that we're seeing racing here on towards the Variante Ascari. Alonso alongside Hamilton, but we don't make it past, and Hamilton stays ahead going into Ascari. So this is now the battle for the lead, with our probably only remaining championship contenders, if it stays like that. Vettel not mathematically out of it, but probably this will have been it for the German. What a shame for him. It was looking so good up until Hockenheim. But now let's focus on the battle here as well. Hamilton is looking to defend against Fernando Alonso, who has DRS now. We are alongside once more, this time going into the first chicane. Oh, we are late on the brakes. Oh, locking the tires, and we make contact with Hamilton. And I think we have damage. We have hit his side pod and tires. I think he will be fine. But our front wing feels like it's gone. Or heavily damaged at least. We will see going into the next corner here. Yeah, we definitely have damage, so we need to come in at the end of this lap as well. What a shame. Hamilton, it seems like he's really running away with the championship right now. Well, and we make it out of our pit box with a lot of seconds lost. We have fitted the hard tires, so we should be able to make it to the end, but the question is, do the hard tires work? We wouldn't usually use them in this race. We were going for a soft medium strategy, but now on the hards you can't unfortunately see because all the tires look the same on these cars, unfortunately. But these are the hard tires, and we're trying to make it to the end now. And we were pretty much running in no man's land, as we are well past the halfway point of this race now. Hamilton still leading. The top 5 haven't done their pit stops yet, but there have been first stops in the midfield's points contenders. For example, Kamui Kobayashi or Romain Grosjean. These 2 have stopped, and just ahead of us, we are running now in P15. 14th ahead of us is Sergio Perez, and just ahead of him is Rosberg battling with the 2 Toro Rossos. They have also stopped, and they were running in the points positions ahead of their pit stop, so at least we are back in the point scoring positions as we get DRS, as we are already alongside Sergio Perez, and we make it past the Mexican going into the Retifilio chicane, and Rosberg has made it past the Toro Rossos. They shouldn't be an issue whatsoever, as they haven't even stopped. So they are still on the tires they started the race with. But the hard tires are really working great. So we are the fastest car on track right now, even faster than the ones who have stopped now and are on softs, on mediums, sorry. So yeah, everything's still working pretty fine now for us. So we might even be able to compete for the podium if we are lucky, as we are now making it past Jean-Eric Vergne with the help of the rear wing that he has as well, because he's close to his teammate, and maybe even on this straight we might make it past both Toro Rossos, which we do. So we should now be up to P12. And then of course there is multiple pit stops that are still going to happen ahead of us. Bruno Senna, Nico Hülkenberg, we will come out, we will be all ahead of them, all, sorry, when they made their pit stops, as we are now trying to look. Oh, we're trying to make it past Rosberg, but there comes Massa out of the pit lane, and we are late on the brakes against Rosberg, and it works. We are now up another spot, or 2 spots even, as, well, Massa just came out of the pit there. We needed to avoid him, but still made it past going into turn 1. We made it past the Mercedes, who is now through Curva Grande. He looked around the outside, but that didn't work at all. And now ahead of us there is Bruno Senna, who hasn't pitted yet, and Kobayashi and Grosjean, the first two drivers that have already made their pit stop. And we're still faster than these two. But first of all, the next driver we need to overtake is Bruno Senna. Not an issue at all. Look, with the help of the rear wing and more grip and a much faster car than the Williams, we made it past the Brazilian to now hunt down Kobayashi and Grosjean. Kobayashi defending going into Ascari there against Grosjean. Wheel-to-wheel is one of the biggest strengths of Kamui Kobayashi, so he might be the first driver that is a little harder to pass. As we are now in a battle for P7 with these guys. And now with DRS we may be even able to pull with Grosjean to make it so that we both make it past Kobayashi, but we don't do that. We back out of it and see what they're doing to maybe take advantage of their battle, which we couldn't do. Grosjean now passed Kobayashi after the Retifilia chicane. Now through Curva Grande we go. Round the outside of Kobayashi with the help of Kurz. We are alongside, late on the brakes, but there is Grosjean. We need to avoid him, and Kobayashi around the outside manages to stay ahead. Just as we expected, he's a little harder to pass. And he's now attacking Grosjean, who's defending around the inside. Oh, and who makes contact with the wall quite heavily. And Kobayashi needs to take evasive action, so we are past the Japanese driver. And now with the help of our rear wing, we say thank you very much to Romain Grosjean, who has just gifted us 2 spots. So now we are up into P7. There's still a lot of drivers yet to pit ahead of us that we will come out ahead. And just as I've been saying that, we have caught up to Jenson Button, who now has made his pit stop as well. And we are even faster than the second McLaren driver, which is amazing news because he was running in second before his pit stop, so it was a McLaren 1-2. And if we make it past him now, we are virtually up into P2 in this race. Into the Retifilia we go with the help of the rear wing once more. We make it past. If you have to do a recovery job, Monza is a good place to do that because overtaking is so easy. And that helps us a lot right now. Now we need to defend into Della Roggia. Button is close, but not close enough to make a move. And ahead of us there is Nico Hülkenberg, who is now also running quite far up the grid. But of course he hasn't pitted yet. His pace still good. I believe he started on the hard tires, so the hard tire is really being surprisingly well here on this track. So maybe this was us being lucky in a bad situation there with the damage we've taken from the collision with Hamilton, and now easily making it past, breezing past Nico Hülkenberg. And this car ahead, this is a Caterham, that is a lapped car, Heikki Kovalainen. We're past him now as well. And now let's look at the standings. Hamilton has also made his pit stop, so everyone apart from Hülkenberg has made their stop. And we are only 5 seconds behind P1. Button not able to attack us going into turn 1. And this is the rest of the top 10. And well, let's see if we can catch up to Hamilton. And we're starting the next lap here, and including that one, it is just 3 laps remaining in the Italian Grand Prix 2012. And it is looking very, very good for us. We managed to close up to Hamilton. And we should be inside his DRS window in a couple of corners. Maybe even this lap going towards Ascari in the second DRS zone of this track. We are close. This is all looking good. Through the Lasmos, now getting good exits through here. Which we do. And we should be inside his DRS. Maybe we can even attack him going towards Ascari. And yeah, I think we do. We are past Lewis Hamilton. First time asking, this time without any hustle and without any aggressive defending. Oh, but our exit out of Ascari, you can see in the mirror, hasn't been the greatest. So Hamilton's still alongside. He may be trying something into Parabolica around the outside. He is alongside, but well, backs out of it. This is our chance. He will now, of course, have DRS on the pit straight here. Which will be hard to defend, but because him backing out in Parabolica, we have quite a gap, and it is enough into the braking zone. Is it enough? He's a little bit alongside. He has his wheel there. And the second part of the chicane, he is fully alongside, even past now, going through, going into Ascari. Curva Grande, sorry, we are now ahead once more, and now into Della Roggia. We need to be late on the brakes, which we are, and we stay ahead of the Briton. And this would be Alonso's first win of the season, of course. He has, he stood on the podium multiple times, but he's never won in this season. But it is still 1.5 laps to go, including this one. The car ahead is Sebastian Vettel. We are now going to lap him. Wow, this is really, really disappointing for the German, who had such a strong start to the season. And with the collision today, this is pretty much his championship hopes over, as we've already said. And now he's getting humiliated even more by him being lapped by his two main rivals, who are still battling for the championship. And Alonso might even get the foot in the door if he manages to survive this last lap of the Italian Grand Prix. Where is Hamilton? He is quite a bit behind because he didn't make it past Vettel as fast as we did. We can see him in our mirror, and it looks fine. This was his best chance already to make a move. Now through Curva Grande we go. Everything looks still fine. He isn't able to make a move into Della Roggia either. So this is very good news for us as we go a little deep into Della Roggia. This might bring Hamilton close to us again. And there is one more DRS zone, and then of course the run towards Parabolica. He is almost alongside, going through Lasmo 1. We'll leave him around the outside, which is a good thing to do. And now he will have DRS on the run towards the Variante Ascari. But I think it looks still fine. Where is Hamilton? I can't see him in the mirror because he will be in our slipstream. And he is not alongside us. It looks very well. I think this will be the race win for Fernando Alonso. He has stood on the podium multiple times this season. A lot of third places, a lot of second places, but the win has always evaded him. Today, here in Monza, in front of the Tifosi, Fernando Alonso comes round the Parabolica for the final time to win the 2012 Italian Grand Prix and to close the gap at the championship towards Lewis Hamilton. What a great race by the Spaniard. And before we look at the results, there is one more thing I want to show you. 3 laps from the end, this happened. Jenson Button, who was running comfortably in third, he just lost his front left tire on the main straight. I don't know what happened there, but he had a late DNF. And this is a second DNF in a row for Jenson Button, who didn't finish in Spa either. So, let's look at the results. As we've already said, Alonso wins in Italy ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Jenson Button dropped out from P3, so Webber inherits his podium spot. Raikkonen once more just off the podium in 4th. Felipe Massa, finally a decent race for the second Ferrari. He finishes in 5th, so good race for the Ferrari team. for both of the drivers. Grosjean in 6th, highest finish of the season for him as well. Kobayashi, Mr. Consistent in the midfield, pretty much best of the rest. He finishes in 7th once more and continues to score points very consistently. He finished ahead of Nico Rosberg, Sergio Perez and Pastor Maldonado, scoring a point once more. For the Drivers' Championship, that means that Hamilton is now leading with 113 points compared to Alonso's 98. Vettel now with quite a gap to the top in 3rd. He still stands on 76 points. He didn't manage to make it back into the top 10 as we've seen. Webber then in 4th with 61, Raikkonen 52 in 5th. Then it is Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg, Kamui Kobayashi making it past Michael Schumacher. Felipe Massa now in 10th, and then it is Sergio Perez, Romain Grosjean, Pastor Maldonado, Nico Hülkenberg, Bruno Senna, Ricciardo and Paul Di Resta. The final point scorers Verne, Kovalainen and Petrov still waiting to score their first points. And for the Constructors' Championship, McLaren still leading now with 164 points compared to Red Bull's 137, Scuderia Ferrari in 3rd, Lotus ahead of Mercedes, and then it is Sauber, Williams, Force India, Toro Rosso and Caterham still without a point, and I doubt this will change in the final races of the season. And that has been it for the Italian Grand Prix 2012. I wish you all a great start into the new year, and we'll see you there with the next race of this 2012 season, which will be the Japanese Grand Prix in Suzuka. Subscribe to not miss that, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and well, check out the channel if you're interested in more. And I hope to see you all the next time. Until then, goodbye.